let's help our viewers being caught up to speed here a little bit regarding both of these rosters. Starting with Fluffy Dreamland here. Who are the standouts? Who should we keep our eyes on?
Well, I feel like Fluffy Dreamland was one of the teams that tried to make a run for it. From the middle of the pack in North America, they obviously beat NRG in an upset win in their group and went 3-0, earned themselves the top seed from that group. And I feel like we have to look out for Chime and Haven, two really good damage players for this team, with Ryan actually waiting in the wings, joining from Shikigami, who had a standout Tracer performance for them in Stage 3 of OWCS. But I think we can expect pretty default stuff from this team. Right here, you can see that Ryan is playing the Genji and Chime is playing the Tracer. But this was actually a couple of weeks ago. The meta shifted a little bit. We saw some Ramatra and Mei being played in this matchup specifically, whereas here we're seeing the Jungle Queen being played, of course. I would foresee that we're going to see more default stuff. We're going to see Astro over on that Orisa, and we're going to see Chime perhaps mantling the Genji with Haven, of course, playing the Ashe or the Cassidy if need be. So with the way the meta's been trending, I'm not expecting too many different things from Fluffy Dreamland, but they're on the come up and they're no slouches.
Well, Nightmare, on the other hand, Jake, they don't shy away from playing a little bit more unconventional stuff. What do you expect them to bust out for today's match?
I feel like Nightmare's a team that I always expect to have something kind of interesting in the works, but I think Zera's Genji is just a really scary prospect in this meta, where it seems like these Genjis are having so much impact on the game. They're having so much individual skill outplay that really does decide a lot of these fights, and I think there's not many other Genjis in NA you'd want over someone like Zera. I think it looks like his best hero to me, even though he does bring a lot of flexibility to the table. So if they needed to bring out other options, he's absolutely going to bring it. And then Seeker on the core hit scan, I mean, you know he's going to deliver. He's been such a strong performer in North America for quite a while now, whether it's the Widow, the Ashe, even the Bastion. I feel like it's kind of his specialty at this point. I'm not sure if we see too much of that particular pick in this game, but Nightmare, they've got a full core press. Everyone really, really strong on this team, and Infected can handle any tank, and I think his mechanical skill could really shine on Orisa.
Yeah, definitely a team to watch out for. Let's take a look at our predictions for this one. I'm not actually sure I ever made a prediction for this one. If you would ask me right now, I would say I can't remember.
We need to write this down.
I literally got up at 5 in the morning.
We might have done these like right when we got here in the morning.
Just like I predicted. I predicted that. No, I just think their DPS duo is just a notch above the opposition here. Fluffy Dreamland, I think, have impressed us a lot throughout the season, but I give this one to Nightmare.
Yeah, I felt the same. I think, Admiral and CJ in the backline are going to be a great duo this meta, bringing a lot of stability, which you need in this meta. It's a lot about making good decisions with ultimates, kiting away when you need to. And I think that those calls coming from the backline, I'm confident in Nightmare. And then, like I said, I think Zera and Seeker on top. I will say, I think Chime's Mei is going to be a big comfort pick. I wouldn't be shocked if that's something that Fluffy Dreamland want to build around, as Space Station have in Europe, to play a Mei-centric style. Could throw Nightmare off their game. So I do think Fluffy Dreamland put some respect on the name. I think they could easily win a map, or maybe two, but I still favor Nightmare in the series.
Yeah, I mean, that's how they beat NRG Shock, right? It was on the back of actually Chime playing a really good Mei. So they could try to mirror that in this matchup against NRG. I still think they're the underdog. I'm still predicting Nightmare to win this matchup, but it says 3-0, but all right. I respect you, Fluffy Dreamland. I still think it's going to be a good...
Not as much as the two of us. It's fine.
It's
just
like
I like the 3-0. I just like the 3-0.
Just like committing.
Yeah.
Maybe he is a Slytherin too, you know?
Just like Loki, he's like a little bit. Just a little bit.
I don't know. It's up to the audience. You decide what house I am.
I'm an adult.
I can't do myself. I don't know what the difference is, but...
That's okay. Well, 31% here in the audience believes in Fluffy Dreamland. Still the best logo we have in the league, so they have that going for themselves. So you gotta count.
This is truly the light and darkness.
It actually
logo
is.
Matchup.
That's actually so funny.
Nightmare versus Fluffy Dreamland.
The most anime matchup we have for you today, and of course, who else to bring in for something like that than Jen and Jack? Who you got coming out on top of this one?
I was gonna roll with the thread like anime. Are we good? Are we good with that? Am I an anime?
Are you an anime enjoyer?
I am an anime enjoyer. I'm watching Mob Psycho 100 right now.
Oh, nice! It's a good selection.
It's
a good show.
It's pretty good. Johnny's like, what's anime?
Like, what are you talking
about? Johnny has no clue.
He's like, nani?
All right, let's get into the game. Jen, Nightmare versus Fluffy Dreamland. I mean, Chime has been on the come up too. I think Chime has been one of the most impressive DPSs in the group stage at the very least. How do you rate their chances going up against Nightmare today?
I think you just got to really respect Fluffy Dreamland and their ability to upset Energy Shock in the groups. Like, you just never know what to expect from them. I think before that, I would have think NTMR are favored, and the desk already brought up sort of the fun strats that NTMR have brought, even from stage 3, you know, bringing out a lot more Maga than a lot of other teams, but even from their match against Ramatra Punch, where it's hard to judge because they play Ryan, you're probably going to see a lot of the Seeker hit scan, but which hit scan does he land on? We even saw Hanzo from him, but we'll see how seriously he's going to take that. Zera, I mean, Jake brought up the Genji and the Tracer for him. His Tracer really stood out back in the day, and Genji's been the flavor of the meta, so excited to see how NTMR are going to set the stage here.
Yeah, let's have a look. I like the Chime Farah look. It's been clean every single time Fluffy Dreamland want to kind of flex around it. Nightmare kind of rocking with the default right now. We see where Zera also wants to pivot. They just TP out after using that speed ring, getting as much space as possible, and there you go, Zera on the Farah. So complete mirror comps here on either side. Both teams high in the sky, also low to the ground with that Cassidy.
Yeah, pocket pick out of Zera. We've even seen him bring this out on other maps like Runa Sapi. So this is a comfort pick for Zera, who can also just swap to the Genji. Emergency, break the glass, go Genji. But it's Seeker's Shatsu. His mechanics is always going to be what propels NTMR's success. So Haven's going to have a tough road ahead of him.
Yeah, I mean, Seeker has always just been such a crack shot. I mean, even when he joined the Boston Uprising, right, in the Overwatch League, at a time that Boston Uprising were just not doing well as a team at all, and he came in and just kind of lit the stage up even in his first like opening matches. Really nothing to fear, really, it felt like, from Seeker. He's only evolved since then. Fluffy Dreamland going to try and retake this point now as Nightmare got that first cap off the back of a single pick. Seeker taking a lot of damage, and Chime actually with the boop sends him careening over the edge. So pretty easy fight, you'd imagine, for Fluffy Dreamland, but Nightmare are going to make it hurt as CJ used that Ray on the point. A later one from Renko. Not sure he's smiling too much right now, but Chime with the double kill with the barrage straight on top of that orbital Ray. No amount of healing in the world can save you from that, unfortunately, Nightmare. As now looks like Astro and Fluffy Dreamland, they're going to finally get some time on the point.
Yeah, NTMR invested a lot to have Infected in this lineup, but I just wasn't a fan of that push of, I've really got, when you want to kind of set the tone of that first fight, you've really got to own your half of the point, get stable, and then push. And also ult tracking that bar is probably going to have barrage, and you don't want to leave that sheltered space. And Chime has been doing a great job of modulating his aggression and being as forward without inting, but a Deadeye ready for Haven and catches Zera.
All right, well, you trade though. So Farah for Farah. Good spear from downtown. Haven didn't see it coming. High Noon popped by Seeker. Terror Surge coming in as well for both the Rizzers. There's the rallies as well to block a lot of that damage. Haven pulling the trigger first. Ends up killing Seeker. That large shield now coming in rather clutch as Zera comes back. And with a vengeance, that barrage takes down Haven, but quickly finished off by Chime. All that overhealth that was built up by both these rallies quickly fades away with the amount of damage that's being slung on either side. Eventually, CJ earns the Ray, and this should be Nightmare taking this point. Renko only a couple of percentage points away from their own, and unfortunately didn't get it off in time. But at least they can re-engage with it now, but will they be able to find picks? Here comes the raid. They're looking at Seeker currently, but a quick disengage here from Nightmare. Not quick enough for Infected, however. No spear spin, and that fortifying won't stand up to the wrath of all that damage being doubled.
A good patience out of someone like Renko to just go for the more guaranteed fight, holding the orbital ray, retaking with it. NTMR should have realized that, well, they used all of their ultimates to win the last fight. It's okay to give up the point and play for a quicker re-engage than to sit there, extend a bit more, but then all die and then give ult charge to Fluffy Dreamland. Now you have Chime who could defend with a barrage. If NTMR go White Room, this is going to be pretty hairy for them.
Yeah, Chime can basically just wait on the sidelines here, although pretty isolated, and Zera has already hit a direct. Quick pack, though, from the Brig. Should heal the Farah up pretty quickly. As Nightmare slowly make their way onto the point. Both Juno so close to this Ray. I mean, the Ray is really going to decide it all. Zera has also earned himself a barrage, so whichever Farah can kind of catch the other one off guard, they might be good for it. Infected taking the brute force of that damage, I mean, in the doorway. But here comes a Ray and the barrage. Rocket sent downtown as the Cassidy. Oh, directed by Zera as he almost plunged into the drink. Sarah looking so clean on the far as Chime quickly goes for a reset. Fluffy Dreamland with 99% now.
Yeah, Chime was just in a weird position. I thought he was going to try and barrage on top of the White Room roof, and then was also in vision, isolated, as you pointed out. Yes, near a mega, but didn't get as much value from the barrage. And even Zero popped his barrage a little too early. There was almost no one home for Fluffy Dreamland on the point. Nonetheless, we're coming down to the last fight with Terra Surge's Deadeyes, but most importantly, support ults from Fluffy.
Oh, here comes the Ray. It's going to be a tough one to fight into, but Seeker's already found one, and that Terra Surge just doing away with Renko. Astro's benefiting a lot from this Ray right now, but it's the only one on Fluffy Dreamland that's actually doing so. Nightmare are in OT, a couple of fan hammers from Seeker, and Astro ends up just going down, isolated on the side, and without Renko to heal you up, the Orisa, as soon as she's out of CDs, she is as good as dead. And Nightmare looking to close this one out. Couple of touches there as Haven switches over to the Tracer. Chime in, comes back in for one final touch, but that's it. That's round over. Renko again comes back from Storm, straight into the drink as Nightmare. They get a nice little round. 100 to 99 though, pretty close so far.
Really weird for Fluffy to lose that last fight. They had 2 support ultimates, an Orbital Ray and Rally, versus NTMR, who didn't have that. And Fluffy died so fast. Like, I don't know if it was just a hesitation on when to pop those or just a chaos mode happening, but that should have been a Fluffy Dreamland fight win. But hey, pretty close, 100 to 99. Let's go look at Seeker and how he keeps this far and check-in. Yeah, just an unlucky tumble.
Oh, that is
that's why.
So sad with the Tracer. When you recall at the exact wrong time, when you've already blinked over the pond. Unfortunate. Happens to the best of us. And we'll see what Fluffy Dreamland want to do here. Looks like Haven's going to switch over to Ashe. Seeker on the Widowmaker. A very fearsome foe, to put it lightly.
You don't get to see Widows too often, but this is just to find that backline that has already moved towards the point, and Astro's isolated at the corridor, and he's just now pushing into the supports of NTMR. Like, what is Astro up to over there?
Yeah, Astro is playing a single-player RPG right now. Nice little flank from the Orisa. Is going to join the rest of the team, maybe trying to isolate the Brig. Admiral putting up the shield there so it doesn't get launched off the edge. Astro with no CDs. That's why a little bit careful as Haven taking a lot of damage from Zera. Switched over from the Ashe, went to the Cassidy. There's a grapple shot from Seeker. Oh, connects. It double hits Chime. Normally it's a pretty easy matchup with the Pharah being that close, booping the Widowmaker around, but Seeker making it look easy. And I must say, Lemon, I do like Haven switching over to the Cassidy, knowing that you're not going to be dueling or going to be able to duel with Seeker on the Ashe, so opting for a lot more frontline damage, just hanging with the rest of the team, but it's actually making it across now is going to be a problem.
Yeah, Chime just wasn't involved in that fight looking for a mega pack, but then he moved mid-map and Seeker's Widow's there, so Chime was just not in that fight to help Fluffy Dreamland, and Zera got just a free rocket everybody, and Pharah's very dominant on night market, so someone has to keep him in check. That's what Haven's gonna do, and that is the answer to a Widow.
Yeah, a little Genji. That'll be doing it. And Seeker. It's going to take a long time to come back from spawn now, especially with how Fluffy Dreamland are positioned. Here comes the Raze on the point. Unfortunately for Chime, there's no blade. Only just switched to the Genji, so not massive effectiveness coming out from him unless he can find some dash resets. Terra Surge, barrage on top. No surviving that one, unfortunately. Fluffy Dreamland, you're up on Cloud9 now. A team kill for Nightmare as Seeker also switches over to a Cassidy, so just mirroring Fluffy Dreamland almost now.
And Fluffy just got so aggro off the Orbital Ray, they ran in, but right into the hands of Zeros, floating above with the barrage, converting 2 or 3, and Seeker with the others. So Fluffy gotta be careful how aggressive and ferocious they want to be as Haven. Tough with the Deadeye is Seeker. I don't know what he's aiming for here, catching someone.
On the break, that'll do it. Oh, makes it pop the rally. Stunned while in the Terra Surge, but somehow Seeker gets out of there. The rally from Admiral's good enough. That overhealth applied, plus a couple of packs on top, enables Seeker to live through all of that damage. Takes a couple of headshots from Haven though, so still has to back off, as overtime is here for Nightmare. A 99% to 0, as Admiral kills Chime, and it's only Astro to touch. A High Noon shouldn't even need it, to be honest with you. As Nightmare finish off this round, a lot more decisive, 100 to 0.
Yeah, NTMR just controlled that entire map, first starting with the Seeker Widow, which just held the middle of the map for them, forcing Chime to just, well, look for Megas, be very careful how he was going around the mid-map, and clearly just couldn't go toe-to-toe with Zero, who patrolled the perimeter and was quite impactful, to say the least, on Night Market. And then how did Seeker not get punished sitting in that corner? Like, that should have been an immediate turn from Fluffy, but that tumble, that damage resist, that just the backup of NTMR supporting his shenanigans. A lot of good synergy from NTMR.
Yeah, you're like, okay, Seeker's dead, surely. I like how it's the classic, like, old casty play, hide in a corner, wait for someone to peek round, flashbang, fan. Almost killed the Brig, to be fair. Hey. Almost got that kill, ended up popping the rally, getting bashed, Terror Surge, but like you said, backup was there for him, and Nightmare finished out that map strong. Lijiang Tower a 2-0, as Fluffy Dreamland now get to choose where they want to go, and you got to imagine they're going to go to a map where Chime can just pop off on the far. I mean, Chime has been exceptional. A true rising star, I think, in North America. And Fluffy Dreamland in general as a team, I think, has shocked a lot of people. We'll see if Nightmare can kind of grapple now with Fluffy Dreamland's map pick.
It's tough where you want to go. I think they looked, Fluffy looked really strong on something like New Junk City when they won that against NRG, playing a lot of even the Chime May. I wouldn't mind seeing the return of that with the Astro Arissa, my Canadian goat, who is just kind of on his own, in his own world sometimes on the flank. And yeah, I mean, Arissa can get away with a lot. And I mean, they ended up uniting on the back line, and that's the type of kind of rallying that Grapes and Renko need to do to keep up with Astro.
Yeah, that's true. Hey. You can flank as anybody if you're quiet enough. Just a little crouch action.
Yeah.
0.5 to 1.7 KDs there on either side. 16 to 30 deaths. Not so much of a bloodbath. It was only a 2-rounder, so nothing too crazy. Where do you expect Fluffy Dreamland to kind of go? Do you think it is going to be New Junk City? A little bit of rush coming through from them with Chime May?
Yeah, definitely something safer for Astro on the Arissa, and I think the Chime May, New Junk City, like I said, they were very strong against NRG winning that. That was one of the maps that tilted the scales in their favor, but just honestly avoiding dive maps because Infected's a very, very strong Winston, but and especially Widow maps, you don't want to go to Gibraltar. Seeker was quite confident on the Widow.
Junkertown, or Rialto. Like, you don't want to go to Escort. Basically, our Escort pool is, have you got a Widow player? If yes, then pick it. If no, then do not pick Escort.
Basically, yeah, no Gibraltar. And yeah, just avoid dive maps, Gibraltar, Widow maps, just something nice. A push, a clash, and like I said, New Junk City worked out really well for Fluffy. And I'm wondering if they want to continue with the May from Chime or if they want to just go for more far-based maps. They even played that on Runa Sapi and had good success on that. So that's what's nice about what. Also playing against NTMR, well, not nice, but fun for us to watch. Is you never know what they're gonna pull out because they kind of don't stick to one meta. They kind of watch at the beat of their own.
Yeah, which I really enjoy actually. I think that's one of my favorite things about watching, like, casting Nightmare. When we were seeing a lot of Circuit Royale as well, it was like, oh man, I can't wait to see Seeker Widow. Oh, he's playing Bastion. Well, it's still fun as well. Like, they really did, I don't want to say pioneer the Bastion on that map, but a lot of teams kind of like, oh, okay, Rush with the Bastion, okay, it's kind of working. Kind of developed its own small meta when he had it in the map pool, but we'll have to wait and see. No more circuits, sadly, but we do have a lot of good Widow maps, and I don't imagine Fluffy Dreamland are going to take us there. We'll have to wait and see what they want to jump into, and just deciding now, but okay, well, I'll take it back. They've already decided, and we're hopping into New Junk City, so yeah, you were right. Nail on the head.
I got the crystal ball, so the Chime May, but what is NTMR gonna want to respond with? Kind of a tough one there. They sometimes like their double flankers, the Tracer Sombra, if you don't want to play the ring around the Rosie game, but Zero's Genji is always something you could depend on in this meta to just climb over their walls, climb over any obstacle, physically and metaphorically. I don't think Far would be as strong there.
Forearm Fitch. New hero? Maybe? That'd be kind of cool. Kind of sick, actually. And like a true brawler. Like, it's kind of like Doomfist, but he has 2 giant fists, and he's just like a pure melee, like Ram in Nemesis form, but just that as a hero, potentially. That'd be kind of cool. Like a boxer or something. I kind of have a lore on the spot. It's happened a lot. None of it's good, by the way. None of it's good.
You're nowhere for sure.
Yeah, it's getting nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. All right, Chime's on the May, though. There we go. Okay, Astro on the Orisa. Haven, Cass, Chime, May versus Zera on the Genji. So this is kind of what we've seen this a lot from Chime and Fluffy Dreamland. We'll see how Nightmare does kind of grapple with this, because the idea, especially with Fluffy Dreamland's comp, you want to just take the fight to them. Wall off the Orisa, burn her cooldowns, or even wall off someone like a Brig. Burn as many CDs as possible. And then find a good execution kill. A lot of front-loaded damage, especially with these icicles. They do a fair amount, especially hitting the Orisa in the head, who is one of the largest head hitboxes in the game, to be certain.
An important cooldown for Zero to mark is when Chime uses Ice Block. As soon as you see that, and as soon as they pop out of it, that's got to be the dash angle. That's got to be the engage angle for NTMR, especially off the speed ring of CJ.
Wow, that is a free cap if I ever did see one there. Zera just put himself on the point, forced Fluffy Jr. to trying to make them contest. Chime a little bit too late, ends up not getting there before they actually get the point, and now Nightmare are just going to run rings around them. Well, they're going to get run rings around them. They let this mate get away with murder. Here comes the walls. The kills are eventually coming in for Astra and Haven. As soon as one wall goes up, that is go time, and Nightmare eventually caught as the point does get flipped. And they might Striker Infected here as well. It's a very smart play. You know Infected is going to be kind of near roll anyway, so giving him it here isn't too bad. You can really just make it hurt. There you go. They got an extra like 15% off of that with Infected only just spawning in the next couple of seconds.
Yeah, things look hairy for NTMR, but they have the better comp to contest points. You know, you want a Genji or a Tracer at the very least to go and contest it, especially in that middle ring, because as soon as you're in that ring, you're sort of, it's difficult for you to get back into the fight, or you got to cap in, you may lose vision of the battle. So NTMR committed to that. Fluffy had an upper hand, but they retaliate. Now a Deadeye speed.
Oh no! Oh, the speed ring. It's too powerful. It's too powerful. There's one pick. Low Light Nightmare and Zera, to be more precise, was trying to cap behind Fluffy Dreamland. If they get extra picks here, it's going to be good. Terror Surge, Blade Pop from Zera, though. I think Fluffy Dreamland stray a little bit too close to the sun, not expecting Infected to also use that Terror Surge in the choke. And with that orbital ray, I mean, these maps, and especially Clash, Lemon, like, they're so, oh, sorry, Flashpoint. They're so enclosed that the ray just does so much work. Like, their healing amplification is just absurd on top of the double damage.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, you like that NTMR were being reactive with the blade. First, it was being proactive with Haven, being sped around with the Deadeye. It was a nice call. But the Zero Blade, just the Genji is gives you a stronger chance in the ult fights. But Chime has Blizzard, and this is for the first point cap.
All right, time to hop on the merry-go-round again. Trying to avoid the Chime May. Point contested by Astro. Defensive wall comes up as Nightmare noticed that the rest of Fluffy Dreamland are isolated away from Astro currently. Looks like they're going to make it back into the mid as they use the ray on the point, trying to get the free cap, and they are successful in it. And Zera, unfortunately, meets a very quick death there by Chime. Hitting the right click from across the map is good for one, good for another, and there it is. Nightmare lose that point. And it was only the ray that was required from Fluffy Dreamland. Fluffy up now, a single point against Nightmare. A very long first point, mind you, as well.
Yeah. Very back and forth, and that means both teams have really good ult economy of just always having a win condition for the following one. And you brought it up, Fluffy only won that with only an orbital ray. Now they can Blizzard, and they're a team that like to take the initiative, that like to take fights early. And as soon as you see NTMR through this choke, you gotta throw the Blizzard. There's a lot of mobile characters on NTMR though, so catching someone with the Blizzard, it'll be about marking those cooldowns. So a dash from the Genji, maybe a bash from the Brig. Did you see the Fortify out of the Orisa? There's a lot of cooldowns to negate that Blizzard.
High noon. Spear already used. Point control by Nightmare. Oh, Astro, a fraction of a second too late there to try and contest. Another high noon, shielded off. Exactly the same clip we saw 15 seconds ago. Golden Orisa on the point, and now the Blizzard's going to really pay dividends for Fluffy Dreamland. This orbital ray, though, through the middle of the point as Infected kills two with the Terror Surge. That May Blizzard getting next to nothing for Fluffy Dreamland. A Blizzard Terror Surge is an insane combo, but they just can't get it done.
Yeah, it was a great call from Chime to, you saw the Fortify, but what's important is the Terror Surge also gives you Fortify. So Infected stopped getting frozen from that and actually punished the Mei of Chime, who walked up to Blizzard to be aggro, thought Infected was low after eating a Deadeye to the face. So a huge play out of Infected to save that fight, because that was a big win con from Fluffy Dreamland that's now gone.
All right, well, Fluffy Dreamland are going to have to put pedal to the metal here. Zera's got the blade, they got the rally. Infected already going pretty low, but Zera pops the blade, forces Fluffy Dreamland all the way back, but has to quickly join the rest of his team. That Ray, even with the blade, you cannot mess with that, as Admiral ends up going down first. No more ultimates to use here for Nightmare. And they shouldn't use them anyway, even if they did have them, as Fluffy Dreamland have 99... Oh, sorry, need to battle against 99% on the side of Nightmare now.
Yeah, Fluffy Dreamland, being able to barely get that back after using a lot of ults in the previous fight. And NTMR, the Deadeye speed combo, and the Orbital Ray. I don't know if Fluffy Dreamland can really hang with this. It'll all depend on if you can get something with the Haven Deadeye, or maybe if Chime can build up to the Blizzard. But in fact, it can maybe keep the Terra Surge to still be front and center, have a backup Fortify just in case with that Terra Surge. So see if Chime can find value.
I mean, the problem is here, Nightmare have Ray. They can just walk on the point, hit the Ray, or even do this. High Noon onto the point with the speed ring, force the wall. And now what do you do if you're Chime? You cannot go down, and the Ray can come out as soon as you disengage. This is exactly the same thing we saw like what, 30 seconds ago in the last fight? Here comes the Ray from CJ, and the Terror Surge brings everybody in. Grape's already down, so Fluffy Dreamland have little heals now. Renko a couple of percentage points away from his own Ray, ends up popping it on the points. Admiral does end up falling, so both Briggs now missing from this engagement. Seeker with a nice off angle here, double dinks Renko straight to the dome. Fluffy Dreamland do end up getting the flip here, but Infected is still standing strong. Zera with the resets, and Seeker just staying alive on the flank. Fluffy Dreamland bowled over by Nightmare as they end up tying up New Junk City.
What a fun macro battle that was, of advancing with Deadeye, the other team leaves. Then you come in with Deadeye, the other team leaves. Then Orbital Ray comes in, the other team leaves. It's like, it's a chess match. That's what Overwatch is all about. You gotta be okay with giving up that space. And then once all the ultimates were used, it's about the mechanics, which Cassidy was able to deliver that big damage. Haven versus Seeker was a tough one. Now you got a Dragon Blade for NTMR. That's what I'm looking towards. If Grapes can get Rally online quicker, that could keep the Zera in his cage, but all depends on if you're able to heal too.
CJ was almost, well, was in danger. They were getting triple dinked by Chime. Zera almost dies as well. Takes a headshot, right click. Blizzard coming up as well for Chime. They're in a good spot. They chase Nightmare away. The fear of this wall is just so paramount. So really a big tool that they are using to find success in some of these fights. Blizzard available, no spear spin either for Infected, so hasn't got the chance to eat it. And no gold either. Blade's been popped on the high ground. Rally as well. Zera doesn't end up using that extra dash to get in, so can now use it to slash and dash through the grouped up members of Fluffy Dreamland. A High Noon pop from Haven to try and get a kill, and a kill he does find. CJ down in the middle of the Ray, and Fluffy Dreamland have the man advantage and ult. Rally comes in for Admiral, but are they going to be able to turn this fight around? Infected is just so far away from the rest of the team. High Noon pulled from Seeker, but finds absolutely nothing, as Fluffy Dreamland managed to isolate Infected and take over that fight without even using a Ray or a Blizzard.
This Fluffy are such a smart team. First, they got split up, and I was a little bit worried. Zera comes in with the blade when he isolates 3 on the high ground. Grapes pulls out the rally. Zera redirects. I'd like that, but then there was so much health on Fluffy Dreamland on the low ground. Zera just couldn't get any low HP targets. Fluffy Dreamland also able to conserve the Blizzard and the point last fight to get the lead here. And Chime can just self-Blizzard too and be more of a protective Mei in that regard. There's so much stall potential too with the Narissa and Mei. It's going to be so tough for NTMR to dislodge them.
Oh, Infected wants to kill one person and one person only, and that was Haven. Ray comes in, Infected now isolated yet again. A Terror Surge available from Astros. He spots Seeker on a flank. Yep, there's no chance now, I don't think, for Nightmare to win this. Absolutely no way. Fantastic macro game there from Fluffy Dreamland. That previous fight just set them up for success, and they only used the Ray Lemon. Like, they still have Chimes Blizzard going on to the next point. They're in a good spot to just take this map.
This is just going to be such a good series based on how well both these teams are playing. But Fluffy are so good at kind of taking the aggression of another team and making them and punishing them for it. And being able for Fluffy to be able to split up and then regroup is something very difficult to do in the chaos, to re-find each other and to be so economical with their ults, like you pointed out, winning a lot of fights off just of Renko's Orbital Ray. Now you got Blizzard and Deadeye, if depending on where Haven, what kind of off angle he's gonna take, and I don't know if you are able to afford to do that against Zero's Pharah.
That Deadeye lasted half a second, if that. Good run down those. Haven looking clean. Oh, what a spear! Oh, bye, Seeker. See you later, mate.
Haven just decided I don't need to take an offing. I'm going to stack on my team, and it was Zero that tried to flank and made it a bit too obvious. Haven caught it mid-conk and dealt with him so promptly. So Blizzard's still there, Deadeye gone. And then the Terra Surge to maybe group people up. And in fact, it doesn't have Terra Surge. You're not going to have a lot of answers to the Blizzard besides just trying to conserve your mobility cooldowns. So Fluffy Dreamland in the driver's seat.
And they still got Chime Blizzard. They got the Terror Surge. They got Ray coming up. At some point, Chime will use Blizzard, but honestly, just the threat of it at this point is that Nightmare need to play around it. They can't all group up together. They got to fear the Terror Surge from Astro. They can't get pulled in by that, because that's an easy Blizzard target for Chime. Hyper Ring comes out, forces CJ. Infected, a little bit more of a harder target to hit now with the amount of speed. Here comes the Rays, near the point for both teams. Blizzard eventually used. There's a Terror Surge. Seeker completely caught out. Blizzard separating him from the rest of the team as Nightmare end up finding the flip halfway through this fight. And now it is all on Zera to try and get this job done. Admiral down, same with CJ, so they're lacking healing right now. Astro standing up to Infected, using this tiny brick shield to dance around this damage thrown out by Infected as Chime snipes Zera out of the skies. Fluffy Dreamland going to be able to take this one as a rally from Admiral isn't going to be able to help the team as they tie the series up. An entertaining series this is going to be, Levin, as a 1-1 comes out strong. Chimes May, hey, the threat of it is sometimes more important than actually using the ult there.
I think he was also threatening physically. He was dangerous. He had 2 headshots with icicles during that fight, and you would expect the Pharah to be more lethal with the burst, but if you can be mechanical, if you could be a walking backbone out there, you're going to be just as strong, and Chime really delivered, and not even just on Blizzard value, but just like you said, the presence, but also Fluffy would also cap the point first, being able to defend it. NTMR would try to contest and zone them off. That didn't work, so then NTMR are caught in open space, allowing Fluffy to use their ults at free will. And it's tough to play a Pharah Zera on a map like New Junk City. There's not a lot of good natural tall cover for you to dance around, and Haven just had his number the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the Pharah pick in a way. It's like, okay, you're less likely to get caught out by the May, but just like you said, didn't end up working out at the very end. Too many shots in from Chime. Even one body shot onto the Pharah from the icicles is pretty dangerous. There we go. You can see why Fluffy Dreamland wanted to take us here to New Junk City. I wonder if this is going to be the trend now for the rest of the game. Just go to maps where Chime is very much favored on playing this May. If you can isolate people, which they've done repeatedly, either with the May wars or just like using the blizzards, and then getting Seeker on, oh, you're on an off angle? That's fine. We can wall you off or wall your tank off and run towards you. Oh, the Orisa steps up? Oh, we can wall you off as well. Maybe we go to somewhere like King's Row, which May can be played on pretty well. I've got a good feeling, though, we're going to go to an escort. It's all I'm saying. We discussed it in the map previously. Maybe you just want the head-to-head. Widowmaker duels from Seeker, because that's definitely where you're strongest in the head-to-head. We'll have to wait and see, because, of course, Nightmare, now they get their choice of map.
And Nightmare don't really run a Mei. Like, if anybody, it would be Zira, and his specialties have been Flyers or a Genji Tracer, and that's really all you need a Flex to be able to do. But these pocket picks of Mei, especially in this meta, have been strong. Like, even people are playing Mei on Gibraltar these days, and Chime just proves how much of that front line got an advantage from that, and how difficult it is to dislodge. Because it's one thing to zone off an Orisa, pop her armor, force her back. Then you have the Maze that steps up that can ice block and just be so annoying. And Nightmare had such an issue trying to just retake the zone by sheer force of will. So they really had to win the fight in order to get the point back, which they sometimes weren't able to do. So if the Mei continues to be an issue, I will worry about someone like the Genji, right? Of how Zira, you saw that him swap off of that. If everyone from Fluffy is going to stay stacked, it's not fun to play a Genji against a stacked team, especially one that has a Mei that could slow you and be annoying.
Well, we'll have to see where we want to go. Will Nightmare end up picking a map that Mei's not too favored on? There's also a weird, like, 4D underwater chess with the Rubik's Cube DLC move here, I think, for Nightmare. Go to a game type that isn't Escort to force a map that maybe Chime isn't as good on, and then you can have Escort as a backup later on because you very much feel that hit scan duel is going to get won by Seeker. So in my mind, you know, Hybrid or Push would be a good selection for Nightmare.
Yeah, Nightmare also have picked I think a King's Row. I think the first time they've got a map pick, they liked King's Row just for more Orisa play, but they also have the beauty of running dive, and maybe thinking Fluffy have a weakness there, you could go to a dive. But Midtown is the Orisa battleground. Don't think Widow's as much of a factor here, but the Pharah I think can have a lot of fun if Zira continues with that.
I think Widowmaker still, though, I think is definitely playable, but I kind of agree with you. Fluffy Dreamland and the way they're playing and how fast they're playing, I don't think it's going to be a point where Seeker can just willy-nilly pop on the Widowmaker and then just click heads. So while it's good, maybe not for this series. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. Seeker can do anything he wants. He can press the H key whenever he likes to. Everybody hear that in the ranked games? Yeah, you can press the H key, by the way. Use it to change hero. It's pretty good new DLC that they added.
And NTMR have been fun to bring out fun brawl options too. Infected's Malga, Ramatra, you just never know what you're gonna get, but Orisa is just the safest pick, you know, the most armor, the most forgivable pick, or kit, I should say, with the Javelin spin, with being able to create space with the spear throws. Seeker going for the Widow, that can be tough. It all depends on if you can keep the tempos slow, if you can keep your Widow safe, and it's really a hot or cold hero. You gotta be a very mechanical Widow at that. Seeker, I think, did well, especially on Night Market, to keep the Pharah in check, but is Fluffy gonna want to even look at a Pharah? It's possible. If anybody, I think it was more Zira that was into Pharah, but we'll see how long Seeker stays on the Widow. I expect to swap after the point.
Astro, don't be playing with me now. Okay.
Rhine.
A little Rhine. I like this. Rhine, Sim, Mei. Am I watching SR peak check is the question. Quick TP to the Mega Room. Okay. Optimus Prime skin in hand. It's tougher.
Yeah, just rotating in. You got to be careful of this Widow too, because Ryan can only protect one angle. So the Seeker could find picks into this backline, especially Renko, if Grapes doesn't keep his shield up to protect himself, of course.
Yeah, look at this complete rotation from Seeker now, looking like he's on offense. This point is rather exposed though. Oh, nice body shot there onto Grapes, healed up by Renko, luckily. Looks like Chime is going to put himself in an awkward spot. Teleports back. He got booped up there and actually managed to use the TP. This is such a good sideline for Seeker, though. As soon as you burn that Rhine shield, the Rhine is just going to be swinging, just trying to get any damage in for Haven to finish off. Renko's already dead, though, so slowly but surely, the health bars will be trickling down. Hagen does get taken out by Seeker. There's another shot. And like you said, Lemon, adequately said. I think the Rhine, rather powerful in these close range situations, but when Seeker's kind of staring at your entire team as the Widowmaker, unfortunately you can only protect one angle.
Seeker's the only one getting kills though, which is kind of worrying. Like NTMR are trying to contest, but the issue with Fluffy Dreamland is their gap, how they're able to gap close, how they're able to close the space, and now NTMR are coming to them.
Ooh.
So this is where Astro's happy.
What a good bash there. What a good fortify even from Infected. Stops the charge coming through. Both rallies popped. Everybody pretty tanky in the face of things as the window, or the wall even, is going to get used. Admiral falls and the Terror Surge is popped on the wrong side of the window, but the blade's going to come in from Zera. Jumps straight over the Shadow too, but Haven is going to meet him with a fully charged beam. And there it is, Fluffy Dreamland. The May Sim Ryan comp, it does it again. 4.5 minutes after capping first. No,
Gonna stick to the Genji, it seems. No. Yeah, it's just tough to approach that bridge side, but with how clumped Fluffy Dreamland are, like Zero got just no executions, couldn't get dash resets. Seeker's the only one getting kills, like just shooting people in the back. So yeah, going to a more stable comp here for Fluffy to brawl on the bridge. And because these brawls are taking so long, Fluffy were able to build so many ults to take that point. So I like the strats, but resetting a comp or changing your comp means you got to also lose that ult.
Yeah, small thing in that fight as well. That wall did a lot of work there for Fluffy Dreamland. The orbital ray that came out from CJ wasn't too effective at all because it was on the wrong side of the wall, and it, you know, it affects a lot of, it gives a lot of healing, a lot of damage, but I think everybody from Nightmare was a little bit too far away to make full use of it at the very least.
Now, as soon as Astro falls, NTMR go and farm up, because as soon as your Orisa falls, you should be trying to leave as much as possible. Now, NTMR got so much ult charge off of that engagement. Now, halfway through a lot of their ults, Fluffy just can't hesitate, though, and I would recommend they just rotate through the right hallway and not be out in the open for too long.
Okay, well, Renko at least has got this orbital ray online. Sadly, Seeker's switched off of Widowmaker, but it will be an Ashe duel, which is almost as exciting, to be honest. Soul Dynasty skin, mad respect as well. Not they're using the away colors either. The black and gold looks so good on the Ashe. 2 and a bit minutes to go as the rotation comes through from Fluffy Dreamland. Up to high ground, trying to split people off. Spear spin to create space. Renko pretty low, and a wall, a rather defensive one at that. It's going to get used to drag everybody into this small room, and oh, an Infected. A Ray Terror Surge. Yeah, in a blink of an eye, you're already dead. Fluffy Dreamland get instantly team wiped.
And that's the reward NTMR get for just winning that previous fight, to be around 60-70% of their ults, and that extended scrap getting them those pivotal ults of the Terror Surge, Orbital Brave. But now Fluffy Dreamland have that same rotation, right hallway. This time you have better tools for it with a Blizzard in that enclosed room. But sometimes teams, they lose a fight and they decide to change their rotation, even though it's a good rotation, but sometimes you just get unlucky by ults. I like the use of the wall to block off some of the poke here from Seeker, but being out in the open has really hurt Fluffy Dreamland.
It is almost chime time. Everybody wake up. Blizzard available. Bob throw now. Nice fortify there from Astro. Stop with the Bob getting into the back line. Oh, Blizzard's utilized though alone. And because Bob was stopped so close to that low ground, Chime was just isolated. Had to block super early. If you remember a couple of seconds ago, forced to block after the damage came in from Seeker and Zera. And now the high ground fight will commence. Terror Surge drags a couple of people in, but CJ using that pylon in the middle there as cover. Stops any of that damage actually connecting. Although it doesn't matter in the end, because Haven's a crack shot. Takes CJ out of the skies, and that rally from Grapes will see Fluffy Dreamland through the car wash.
Yeah, that Blizzard was questionable. You didn't mark if the Orisa had gold, and maybe you thought there was more people around. If the Orisa had dropped to the low ground, maybe the rest of the team did, so that Blizzard got no value besides to slow the Bob, I guess. But and Chimes on the Genji, and that really helped get some more consistent damage going. And in fact, it's gotta be careful with how aggressive he is, and kind of realizes how much healing he is going to get from Admiral and CJ. But now final fight for B.
CJ is so close to ult. There it is finally. Infected took a little bit of damage there in order for them to charge that one up. Infected takes down Haven, but the blade has been popped by Zera. Oh, the slash dash straight through the entirety of Fluffy Dreamland. Double damage, and Astro being staggered. That is just gross from Zera.
I grabbed Mega too.
Oh, that's going to stagger him some more. And A little bit of free ult charge there for Nightmare. 2 meters ago, and look at that 10-second mark. Haven switches to Widowmaker to try and get one shot, but Seeker takes Renko out from the skies. Should be a fairly easy fight now. The payload did get touched by Chime on the Genji, but they're not going to last not a moment longer. That is where the payload's journey will end for Fluffy Dreamland, as Nightmare don't even let them get second.
Fluffy just had such a swift take of the point with these kind of prepared strategies. I like that, but just took too long to figure out what the winning strategy was going to be for B. They had the right rotation of the right hallway. They get Terra Surged and then the Orbital Raid, and they think that and Fluffy think that they just can't approach that fight ever again because of those two ultimates when Fluffy had the advantage. And they kind of stuck out in the open. Fluffy took a lot of damage being out in the open, wasted their Blizzard, went to Genji, and by the time they kind of found the right composition, NTMR had the winning combo. They had Dragon Blade. They then had Seeker go to the Widow to stop any touchers. So Fluffy got there eventually, but yeah, it took a while, and that's why you're only stuck at point B.
All right, we'll see what Chime could do on the defense then. Blizzard, yeah, little, well, I saw the vision, of course. The pop of the block so early was just so rough. Then you're down there with the Bob, and, you know, it was a good play by Astro, you know, fortify the Bob so it doesn't end up moving through your entire team. It's just, fortunately, it did lead to Chime's demise. On defense, though, pretty nice. We'll never get, the production never gets old of, or the orbs never get old of show me pigeons on this map.
Just for
me, they're pretty scary. They're scary looking things, is all I'm saying. No Rhine, unfortunately, for Infective. I know everybody's letting out a long sigh for that one. See if Seeker ends up swapping. As soon as you see Haven on the Widow anyway, you'd want to play the Widowmaker, but Seeker's going to roll out regardless of seeing that pick or not. Ooh, good headshot.
Promptly healed back up, and hey, if that headshot can lead to just getting that much closer to breaking Orisa armor, that is the window of engage for NTMR, who are, I guess, freely allowed to go through this bridge side. Chime seems to be split off with Renko to the left, and they're trying to regroup, but Fluffy are getting ran.
Yeah, look at this positioning coming through from Nightmare already. Oh, sorry, you wanted to shoot Seeker, did you? How about you dealing with me? Haven already dead. Block popped as well by Chime, and the wall as well. May no CDs, a pretty easy target for Seeker or anybody from Nightmare, to be fair, to take out. Speaking of no cooldowns, Astro, 0 left in the tank. This is Nightmare just running all over Fluffy Dreamland. That rotation from Nightmare was really nice. They spot Chime and Haven holding that mega health pack on the left-hand side. They end up wrapping right because there's no May wall to fear, and then just descend onto Haven as Fluffy Dreamland have forced all of them basically into that mega health pack and fire truck area.
Bad spawns too for Fluffy, and you really needed to try and eat up a lot of time holding a bridge defense, and Fluffy are just in the worst position possible. The only way they turn this around is if they get Blizzard from Chime in time, 10% away, but Fluffy are trapped, but they may just be able to bite back. You don't want to corner a dog, but NTMR deciding to just focus on pushing the cart.
But have they actually got that dog in, and that's the question. Seeker takes the high ground. I mean, that Terror Surge surely ends it too, especially with the Renko down. Yeah, you're not winning a 1v1 against the Orisa, or maybe you are. Nope. JK. There's a spear.
This is ugly now. Fluffy not being able to take a lot of time from the bridge phase. It's now coming down to a final fight for the map, and it's 4.5 minutes. Got Dragon Blade Orbital Raid. Like, this is gonna be GG. Fluffy Dreamland just haven't been able to find a tempo or really a footing in this half at all, even considering they're playing a May. And now you just pop out in front of a Widow with sights. What are we doing?
I mean, I think Chime thought that Seeker was on high ground there, but yeah, you did have the sights of the Widow. Quick shot from Seeker. Good for one. Blade available. Rays have been deployed. Those rallies as well. Renko pretty low. Terror Surge to grab everybody in. Astro does take down Zera, whose blade was popped. Infected also pretty low on this low ground. Admiral not there to give him over health as Astro claims 2. Good stand there from Fluffy Dreamland, despite Chime going down early.
Yeah, Nightmare got a bit split going from the low ground with that sort of hill. Sometimes you don't always get good vision of what's happening around the corner, but Fluffy used all their ultimates, namely a very life-saving Blizzard, plays defensively. Now Nightmare have the Terra Surge, and still a lot of time for Nightmare to get another round of ultimates, even if this neutral vanilla fight doesn't work out.
Terra Surge only takes one headshot. Ooh. Haven hiding in the tree there. Yeah, no way Nightmare fights this. Just wait. You're vibing currently. Don't need to do anything too crazy. Grapple shot? Not quite.
Chime's got to be careful here. Yeah, don't want to get chaplained. These Widows could be what really makes or breaks this fight. Now, you kind of what you said earlier, no one expects a low ground Widow like this. And Seeker versus Haven, we kind of gave the edge to Seeker initially. We'll see how Haven does.
Yeah, that was close though. Haven almost got his head ripped off by Seeker. Firing that very early shot. Seeker knew exactly where he was. Chime's in the back line now, looking at Seeker, giving Haven a little bit of an easier time, but 10 HP and a couple of extra bullets there. SMG Widow strikes again. Terra Surge grabs Astro, but he's full HP right now, unleashes a Terra Surge of his own. Little spear spin from Infected to stay alive, and all CDs from both Orissas at this point have been burned. Here comes the raid from CJ, making this assault from Nightmare a little bit unforgiving. Grapes Renko down, sights have been popped by Haven, but he's got a heck of a job to find this map. Astro, the last surviving member from Fluffy Dreamland, on the point. The cooldowns have reset, but your entire team is already dead. And Nightmare claim the map and find themselves on match points.
There is some stabilization for Fluffy after giving up the points so fast. First, it starts with kind of a split defense where your Mei really should just be playing with your Orisa at all times. Like, you don't want to play it like a Tracer. You want to be able to just react to that Mei wall isolation, which seemed like the game plan, but then they saw this Ryan, they saw the Widow headshot initially, or not the Ryan, but they saw the Widow headshot and got almost scared, and Fluffy just gave up so much space, got run through when it comes to the point, got bad spawns, got run through there, and then there was like 4.5 minutes for a Nightmare to finish. So there was some point where Fluffy Gamers were able to defend nicely at the end of point B, but the time bank is what really set them apart.
Yeah, look, Nightmare, they're up 2 maps right now. New Junk City was a very different look, a very different feel from Fluffy Dreamland. Can they recreate that in the 4th map? We'll have to wait and see. Jump into the desk real quick though, as they can talk about half this series so far.
Thank you so much, Jen and Jack, Jake and Johnny, so many J's joining me here on the desk to break it all down. Let's talk about what we just saw. Fluffy Dreamland really started to turn the tide once they started to put that Chime on the Mei. This is something that you guys have mentioned heading into this as we had our pre-game chat.
On New Junk City, I felt like they were really able to set the tone for the series with how effective Mei can be, starting those fights, really giving Infected a ton of trouble. Like every time he's initiating, he's getting his team separated from him on the Mei. But here we see Infected having a good time in moments with this Orisa, the Terra Surge.
Yeah, I mean, Fluffy Dreamland in this scenario, they have 4 ultimates going into the last fight here this round. But it's a great Terra Surge from Infected. He's pushing into the back line, putting pressure on Haven, who's got the Deadeye going as well, but also finds the Juno in the back there, especially the last fight. The enemy team, they're forced to touch the point. And so Infected, by that proactive push into the back line, setting up the Terra Surge, he's putting pressure on the enemy back line while the Orisa is forced to touch the point as well. So I've been really impressed by Infected so far. But going into New Junk City, I feel like maybe he didn't set up his team that well. I think that the Terra Surge usage, it has a few different use cases, right? Yeah. You can use it in your own flux because you charge it up quicker, it becomes more lethal. You can slam it down before enemies are able to escape. You can use it, to set up your own Genji. You can pull people in when your Genji is blading, and that's what we saw them have a lot of success with on Midtown, for example. Zero popped off with those blades. Here on New Junk City, he used it in a different manner as well, where he's using the Terra Surge to block off the Blizzard that's coming off from Chime, and it almost like protects the spacing that you have to the point. Instead of forfeiting that space, you kind of stand and linger on the point and make it difficult for the opponent. But Zero, I didn't think he had the same value on New Junk City on that Genji. It made it tougher for the rest of the team. So it's just, a taste, and I completely understand why you use Terra Surge that way. But just the small details here. This matchup is changing based on the map and based on the compositions. So it's fun to see it develop so far.
I think if Chime can, find the maps to force Mei, and I think New Junk City is exactly the perfect map for it, right? Probably the best in the pool for Mei in terms of full of these, one wall choke points. That's what I look for when I'm thinking about Mei, is like, can I just build one wall that completely isolates the first player through the choke, and we start the fight off really well with something like that? But in the end, I'm not sure where you really force it from here with push and escort left. not so much in the way of like great main maps jumping out at me. There's like King's Row, but first and third.
EMEA picked Gibraltar.
All right. If Gibraltar's a main map, I don't know. I've lost it. I've lost my touch. When Gibraltar's a main map,
I mean,
it's GOATS
going
Part
by
2.
the number, I think the win rate with May on Gibraltar pretty high so far in the
Wow, about 50-50 or something so far?
That's not a small amount, Johnny. That's not a not May map.
Okay, the sample size is
I
like
will
2.
say, Gibraltar was the map when we knew in the GOATS meta, that was the signal. When we started playing GOATS on Gibraltar, it was like, it's over, guys.
It's over.
Like, there's
We're
nothing
strong.
left for us anywhere. That was the last line of defense. So when Gibraltar's a May map, May is OP. Nerf her.
Okay, but we've seen those different flavors there, right? One team busting at the Genji. On the other side, we have the May. If they can't force the May just based on the maps available to them, what else can they do? What should they do? Because Fluffy Dreamland, they prefer a standardized play. They're not going too wonky with their picks usually.
To be honest, I think regardless of the map, I feel like May might be the best bet for Fluffy Dreamland. I mean, Chime is fantastic on the character, like clearly a comfort pick. He's executing it super well. But honestly, when it comes to like toe-to-toe on Genji, I'm really going to favor Nightmare. I think Fluffy Dreamland, regardless of the pick, they should stick to their guns. Even though I don't love the strat, the comp, I think it can work. And in the end, for Fluffy Dreamland, they've got to play to their strengths. If you play Nightmare's game and you full mirror match the Genji, I just think, man, Zira and Infected, Seeker, the aggression from this team is so effective. They're so coordinated. Replicating that with less practice is going to be a fraught proposition, and it might just throw you off your game more than it really takes away from the opponents.
That's right. Well, Nightmare now just one map away from moving on. Let's see if they can close it out right here. Jen, Jack, please take it away.
Thank you very much, Zoe. Yeah, Runasapi is the map chosen by Fluffy Dreamland. They've got to come back, and I agree with Jake as well. Just stick to your own game. Are you going to be able to win in the straight mirror, the Genji versus Genji? Unlikely at this moment in time. Just get Chime doing stuff. Chime time. Come on. Got to bring it out at some point. You know, the Farah has been a very good look for them. The May too, and it looks like they're going to rock out with it.
And Runasapi was a strong map for Fluffy Dreamland. They picked this against NRG and won it 93-88, playing off of the Chime May and the Haven Ash. Now, the May and just their setup on Midtown, I think, was more of a how much time they spent really scrimming the map and breaking down the strategy there. But this is a map that is a lot better for Fluffy. And NTMR, the Genji, how is he going to try to kind of piece apart this stacked team? And in terms of Fluffy play stacked, like they play very clumped up together, which has been difficult for Zero to get dash resets, and it's been risky for him to learn and know how to engage into that.
Big rotations here for Fluffy Dreamland. They can kind of mold the positioning of Nightmare in their hands like clay, right? With the May. Infect's taking a lot of damage. Ideally here, you just kind of keep rotating and then try and find this wall to catch someone off. Looks like they end up swapping sides, although the bot kind of moving in favor of Nightmare right now.
Yeah, you kind of just let your DPS poke and prod. I like that Chime is taking an off angle. He's got a few headshot kills, I remember, on New Junk City. So his neutral game is very, very strong, and Seeker needs to be careful of where that Orisa is. Those javelins will end you.
Yeah, almost instantly killed there just by the Orisa. Good dynamite damage from Seeker. Wow, across the map there. Almost has got the Bob. Haven not too far behind. Chime as well, doing an immense amount of damage on the May. So close to that Blizzard. Here we go. Nightmare in control of the bots eventually. Seeker takes another icicle to the face, it looks like there. Slowly but surely moving away from them. Chime also taking an immense amount of damage. Here come the rays. Orbital Ray from Renko available too. Heals up first. Is that Blizzard is going to stop Nightmare from walking on forward, but Seeker doesn't need to walk. He just needs to stand and shoot people. Haven already dead. His Bob just runs over Chime. Chime was descending onto the ground, thinking I can use the ray, but no, Bob was there to stand in his way. Easy focus fire from Seeker. The Bob just doing so much work for Nightmare there. And this is the barricade moving in their favor with Fluffy Dreamland spawning pretty late.
And a pretty late orbital ray for Renko, and I like their patience from Fluffy initially, kind of realizing, well, they were far enough away from NTMR where CJ's orbital ray didn't matter. Then Renko re-engaged with his. The issue is that they ran it down with Renko's orbital ray and right into the sightlines of Seeker, and you do not want to be testing his aim. He is popping off, but here's the bot from Haven to set NTMR back.
Oh, they don't get the checkpoint. So a good proactive play there from Chime. Pops the block, gets on the bot to contest. Fighting in the small corridor right now, suffering a lot of burn damage from Seeker's Dynamites.
Just rally will be good to hold here and just look for the stun on Zero. Just depends if Fluffy are going to want to clump on each other. I think Grapes may know Haven could be a target for this, so just protecting him as much as possible. And Fluffy seems to be playing pretty split, making it hard for Zero to find a good target. He's also waiting for heals, wants to go as healthy as possible, and wants a low HP target, which is tough for Seeker to get a good dynamite
There's
in.
the Ray. That would have been some nice damage reflected there by Zera if anybody was shooting at that time. Late Ray coming through from CJ. Zera looking for an entryway with this Blade. He's going to open them up like a letter in a moment. Here comes the Terror Surge. Blade's been popped. Rengo's already dead, and Zera's just going to finish off the rest. Look at that. The sheer overwhelming pressure. As soon as they're dragged in by that Terror Surge, it's just such an easy Blade dash for Zera. And that should be checkpoint for Nightmare as well. Big trade of ultimates, Jen. And normally, what we see often as well is the team that pops the Juno ult first ends up winning the fight after a very quick pick, but Nightmare have had some exceptional disengages.
Yeah, both these teams are hard disengaging when they see those orbital rays and won't pop their big DPS ults until they see that orbital ray out of the picture. And that's how Zera and Infected work so well together. The Terror Surge to get them low, Zera with the dash resets, but now the Bob thrown in from Seeker to buy them some
Look
space.
at the Bob at the high ground. Look at Hammer was pushing the Bob forward there as well to get Bob in range still. Kill onto Grapes, bot continues to move. Chime pretty low, takes another heady from Seeker. It's a dangerous spot for Nightmare to be in right now, especially with Chime's Blizzard, but they're acutely aware of that fact, I think, and you can see Infective, the only person right now playing super far up. Oh, surely not.
It takes so long because everyone's just disengaging, and now this Blizzard's going to ruin anyone who tries to help Infected here.
Infective set up permanent residence in that mini health pack room. Zera dead. There's the orbital ray.
Oh, that
Infected is in trouble. That wall blocking his escape. Same with Seeker, had to pot round that corner, and eventually the Blizzard has been deployed. And just the sheer amount of punishment for Infected there. Eventually evicted. Rent price has got a little bit too high.
Smart of NTMR to just let Infected die there, because to wait for him to get fortified, let him to get Javelin spin, don't try to feed into it. Infected will get himself out of that hole, and so he did. Great Maywall out of Chime, and then the reaction from Fluffy to see as NTMR were grouping back up, that was the moment to strike. Both these teams are very resilient, very patient, and not as aggressive, but it's really paying off the time that they take to go for quality fights, not quantity.
Very quick re-engage, of course, on this map, so not sure Fluffy Dreamland are going to be able to take this bot too far, although they have got the orbital ray to be a dissuading tool. Haven is so far up, actually kills Seeker somehow. Might even kill Zera too. Yeah, what a play from Haven. Just uber flanks, double tap Seeker, gets the backup from Grapes. What a clean fight from Fluffy Dreamland, their team killer. That, no ults required either.
Yeah, Fluffy are playing split. Grapes is playing with Haven most of the time, so it's very difficult for Zero to really access Haven and to get the execution he's hoping for. And once you commit to one direction, one target like Haven, it's tough to redirect towards another goal in mind. So really great job out of Haven to hold off that Genji, because that's a big win condition for NTMR for Zero to get in, get a kill, reset, and do something else. NTMR depending a lot on this Blade, depending on if the Ray comes out first.
They can't move up as well. Everybody was so low on Nightmare, they couldn't even approach that corner, so they had to kind of huddle in that small room, get healed back up again, attempt for another attack. Here you go. Dropping out this window now as the Blade and the Terror Surge are available. Pretty much everything required to win a fight in this meta is up for both teams now. Haven with a very aggressive use of the shift there. That coach gun is going to cost Haven big time. Chime is just going to get pushed away by Infected Spear as well, setting Zera up for a nice little slash and dash on the Mei. Rally deployed by Grapes, and you saw the immediate go symbol. That coach gun usage from Haven cost them that fight.
And also, Fluffy Dreamland played so close to the coast or close to that railing that NTMR knew, well, they can't back up anymore. We gotta go. Infected jumps in with Terror Surge, Blade from Zero once those targets were low, and everyone is clumped from Fluffy Dreamland, not having a good route of escape, not having any space to work with. Yeah, giving up space is nice, but if you don't retake it, if you don't have anything else to work with, it's tough.
Oh, Seeker, oh, Boops Haven up. Can they actually get away from this Bob is the question. Here comes the orbital ray. Bob's easy to deal with, but Haven just spent time actually killing it. Has to focus the front line now. Infected. There's no way you survive that, not even in your own ray. It does a lot of healing, sure, but you need the damage back up. A good shot from Haven. The bot is still contested right now as the Terror Surge has been popped. A big shield from Admiral isn't going to save you from the Terror Surge. Astro laying Admiral to rest. Seeker's still finding a couple of kills, but that's all he's going to get.
Seeker just taking down maybe 2 or 3 is still gonna, oh yeah, so there's only 3 up for Fluffy, so as soon as they see any presence of NTMR, they may have to fall back, especially not having forward spawns yet, but Fluffy are still chasing the lead down, you know, barely 20 meters, and they'll get the forward spawns. NTMR are gonna be forced to fight very soon, and there's the drop from Infected. Fluffy don't have all 5 yet, so they gotta regroup.
For a brief time there, I think someone was on Sombra. I think Haven, potentially. Decided against it in the end. Astro has disconnected, I think. Astro kind of running into the... Well, yeah, that was a DC for sure. And get a fair fight for the next one.
My Canadian goat, we don't always get the best internet over there, but glad Astro is back in. But the most fun I've had is watching Seeker and Haven. This map is all about the hit scans really shining, and Haven, Seeker, these random double kills during the fight. That one-man, two-man advantage that they can create can really tilt the scales of this fight. Now Astro is back to stabilize things, but it is still now 12 meters still for NTMR, but 40 seconds left.
Oh, one headshot. Look at the absolute squad rolling up there to try and save Haven. Zera did exactly the same. 30 seconds to go. Nightmare, they've got full control of this bot. They've got 5 ults pretty much. As Fluffy Dreamland, they got one more chance to regroup.
Yeah, just now that Astro's back in, they got caught in a weird rotation in a small room. NTMR punished them fully without using ults. So like you said, NTMR have the ult advantage. May even get to stop them from touching. There is Grapes rallying their way in.
Blizzard yeeted from downtown as Haven claims 2. Okay, overtime for Fluffy Dreamland. They saved their orbital ray. But so did Nightmare. They got Orbital Ray, Blade, and Rally for this last fight.
And you're gonna have to fight again, probably at the neutral point or a little bit after it. So it's gonna take consecutive fights out of Fluffy Dreamland. If they can win with Orbital Ray, maybe Deadeye. You may have a Terror Surge in the next one. It's gotta be a layered assault from Fluffy, but you're going up against a Dragon Blade. How you're able to stop Zera is everything here. Gotta be proactive. Here's Fluffy with
just
the Ray.
All pop Q at the same time, pretty much. Blade's gonna get safe for Zera for the meantime, but here it comes. The Orbital Blade is just far too powerful. Chime does take down Seeker, and Zera going pretty low. A good bash there from Grapes to send Zera reeling. But is it enough? Infected still standing tall in the front line, and now Astro is isolated. And with no Renko, they got so little heals to actually survive. And Terror Surge does end up coming out in the end, actually splits Nightmare for at least a couple of moments. A late rally from Grapes, only just earned it. A swing, bash, swing, bash, swing, bash wasn't enough to keep Astro alive. And Nightmare closed out the series 3-1.
What an absolute battle this was between both teams, though, and NTMR also taking the win on Midtown was so important, really cracking down the strats from Fluffy Dreamland, being able to deal with the maze swiftly, finding the cracks in the armor of Fluffy Dreamland, very important for NTMR, and just being as relentless as they were. I think the Astro disconnect kind of led to some awkward footing for Fluffy coming back in, and it was those crucial fights in the last minute that they fumbled. So I still think Fluffy Dreamland did an incredible job, and I hope to see them continue. Yeah,
I hope so too. I do think they are definitely an up-and-coming team in this regard. Of course, it being stage 4 as well, with the points meaning so much, it's rough to go down this early down to the lower bracket. But hey, Nightmare advancing, kind of what the desk predicted. But Fluffy Dreamland, they still got their own look. They've still got Chime Time, someone to rely on. Saw New Junk City. It was a very different map compared to the rest in the series, but they're living their own personal nightmare now as they now have to battle through the lower bracket. We'll jump over to the desk. They can wrap up the series and send us into the next one.
That's right. Thank you both so much. Nightmare advance. It was a battle for the ages. The anime battle that has been promised for the day. Nightmare coming out on top of that one, but a lot of signs of life here, obviously, from Fluffy Dreamland. I think there was a very tight series still. There were a lot of opportunities for them to still take this. Let's break down this last map, as we already talked about the first few, as we're taking a look at some of the highlights from this one.
Yeah, I mean, Fluffy Dreamland kept it close the whole way through. I feel like if Zera wasn't coming up so big on the Genji with some of these initiations, this would have been a very different match. I think like a couple more mistakes from Zera, this Genji just doesn't look as effective, and the Mei, you know, just wins the longer fights. But the initiations are too clean. The aggression in combination with the rest of Nightmare was just executed so well. They have a lot of faith in Zera's Genji, and it really shows in this match.
Yeah, great understanding of how to rotate their ultimates to get max value. Again, the way they coordinated here, the Terra Surges with the Dragon Blades, really led to Zero getting so much value here on these kind of compositions. And I mean, it's hard to play the Mei here. We've already talked about that on EMEA, for example. So yeah, just a great showing here from Nightmare playing this Genji kind of composition and really gearing up for a nice kind of like duel against Toronto Defiant here in the upper bracket. So I'm looking forward to that, with both teams kind of preferring this Genji style.
How do you feel they stack up against Toronto Defiant based on the performances we've seen so far from?
I mean,
it's Toronto.
It's hard for anyone. Like, it's Toronto Defiant.
But to be honest, if there was a meta that Nightmare could do it, I mean, this is about as good as it gets, right? It's an Orisa meta, which I think takes someone out of his like most comfortable dominant hero. Something like a Winston is pretty scary to go up against. I think supports is more about stability and communication than it's about individual pop-off potential. I think that's also good for Nightmare. And on the DPS lineup, Hitscan Genji is, I think, about as good as Nightmare gets. Like, this is a super comfortable lineup for them. So I still think Toronto is a tall order, right? Like, with all that being said, it's a super threatening match to be facing. But, I mean, Nightmare, this is a team that clearly has Toronto in their sights. I don't think there's anyone else that they can lose to and be okay with it at NA. I think they are kind of like up next behind Toronto, maybe even with NRG. But this is their opportunity to make their mark. I mean, other teams have felled Toronto in the past, not, of course, in the grand finals, but other teams have taken wins, and I think Nightmare maybe can do it in this meta.
It's going to feel so obvious in hindsight if Nightmare wins the upper bracket match and then Toronto Defiant comes from lower bracket and wins the grand final.
At this point, the script is too...
That's too obvious. That's too obvious.
The writers need to get a new script going. Like, it's getting a little
feels copy-pasty.
Yeah.
Don't like that. Don't like that. But
Nightmare winning?
It's going to come down to players like this, right? Seeker, who got himself the player of the match on us, as we just saw. It's going to come down to those big moments, if he can come in clutch. And quite frankly, for a lot of these teams, it did come down to individual pop-off moments. Seeker and Zero, definitely the players to do so for Nightmare.
I mean, Seeker's hit scan is great this meta, where you see really the full gamut of hit scan, whether it's the Widow, the Ashe, the Cassidy. He brings it all and really changes up the playstyle depending on what's necessary for the team. Really bringing that team player vibe on DPS, right? Like very often in the thick of the fight, defending the teammates, playing around ultimate. So really, the team play from Nightmare stands out in this match. Of course, Toronto's a different beast when it comes to testing that teamwork. But honestly, I like everything that I see out of the squad.
I think it's really looking up as well. This was a team that acquired Infected from NRG as well, going into the Esports World Cup. And actually, they've been looking really good ever since. This is a team that have openly, publicly talked about their goals to qualify for Stockholm, become a team that thinks globally, not just about being, you know, second or third best in North America, but actually take it to EMEA teams, try to compete with the best Asia has to offer. But that's what they've set their like goals on. Like, that's what they're looking forward to. And I feel like Nightmare, stage after stage, they keep building towards that and keep improving to the point now where I'd say that they're the second best team in North America, with NRG slipping up a little bit.
That's right. We actually have a coach interview now ready for us. SNR will be joining us. So Jake, head on over. Welcome our guest in our teleprompter.
Welcome, SNR. Can you hear me?
Hello, hello. Yes, sir.
All right, well, we're happy to have you here for this interview. We've been just singing the praises of the squad. I just want to first check your temperature on this meta, right? With the Juno Brig backline, you guys look solid, frankly, in these like very aggressive brawl styles. What have you been thinking about when it comes to like this match, for example, playing against Chimes Mei? Was there any adaptation you made, or was it more sticking with your guns, what you guys have practiced?
So Fluffy's like a hard team to prep for because no one else really plays what they play, at least to like their level in scrims. We knew they're going to play Mei and Pharah. That's like their bread and butter. So we kind of just like did quick little review, took notes on it, saying like, hey, like we know some of their path things based on what they played yesterday. Let's try to counter them here. Just Unreal Soppy, like we had their rollout scouted. So I think it's just a lot about like kind of watching some of the EU matches, looking at how those matchups were played and trying to like copy paste it, because it's really hard to prep for the games when you don't have a lot of scrim time against that matchup. So I think we kind of figured it out though. I think we're pretty confident we know how to beat it.
And looking ahead to the rest of the tournament, I mean, you guys are pretty close to qualifying for Stockholm, right? That has to be on the front of everyone's mind. How is the atmosphere in the team as far as like there's a lot of pressure riding on a few matches? I mean, you lose, you could be out of the running very quickly, but you get a couple more wins and you could be, you know, booking tickets to Stockholm sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think that our team's pretty good at not handling pressure. Obviously, I think this is the most pressure we've ever had. Being like the first stage, we're kind of like expected to have a really good result. But we don't think about it too much. We're also like have good team environments where everyone's kind of happy and like, you know, we kind of joke around to take the mind off it a little bit. But yeah, obviously like we're not locked yet, so we're kind of always saying like, hey, you know, don't get too overconfident. Like we're not locked yet, we're not locked yet. I think even right now we're technically not like 100% locked, so we're not trying to get too ahead of ourselves. But team is really good with handling pressure, and I don't think it's ever really got to us.
And I'm curious, just as far as the rest of the tournament, you guys are going to face off against Toronto Defiant now. Is that a matchup you guys have been thinking about, looking forward to, scrimming? I mean, like, how do you, they're a different animal, I think it's fair to say, compared to anyone else in North America. So how do you go into a match like that with that level of confidence, maintaining that against such a fearsome opponent?
So every time we play Toronto, we just literally say to ourselves, like, guys, we have nothing to lose. We're not expected to win this game, and we just play better. Like, literally zero pressure. We just have confidence in each other. We trust each other's calls. And, like, also, like, no matter where I feel like the mirror matchup is it can be a tad Mickey Mouse. So we have a chance of beating them in this meta for sure. I feel like this is one of our best shots we'll have. So we just got to go into our match, whatever, and just do our best and not care about the result, right? We're not expected to win, so just play our best.
I like that. No pressure on you, so just give it your all. Thank you, SNR. Appreciate you taking the time to come in for an interview. Best of luck in the rest of the tournament. Hope to be seeing you guys in Stockholm.
Yeah, thanks so much.